All right, good morning. I'd like to call to order the Portsmouth Port and Industrial Commission meeting for October 22nd, 2024. Roll call, please.
Good morning, Ms. Allen,
Present.
Mr. Foster,
Present.
Mr. Hanson, Ms. McSwain,
Present.
Mr. Peterman. Here. Mr. Rice, absent, and Mr. Barham.
Here.
Chair, we have a quorum.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, before you, the minutes from the September 24th regular meeting. I need a motion to approve in a second.
Motion to approve. Second.
We have a motion in a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Barham,
Yes.
Mr. Foster,
Yes.
Ms. McSwain,
Yes.
Peterman. Yes. And Ms. Allen.
Yes.
Chair, the item is approved by a vote of 5-0.
Thank you. Moving on to our quarterly financial report for September 2024. Good morning, Ms. Pope. Good morning.
Here, we're going to give just a moment to pull up the financials on the screen, and there they are. You also have copies here at the table that have been printed.
Thank you.
Good morning. I will be presenting the first quarter.
Can you speak up a little bit, please?
Yes, sir. Good morning. I will be giving the first quarter of FY25 PPIC financial report. So as of September 30th, we had 1.2 million in cash, one grant receivable at $856,000. We have two properties bringing our total assets to 2.4 million. We have payables and grants and liabilities at 1.2 million. A loan due to the Commonwealth for 200,000, bringing our net position to 2.4 million. So far, we've had $775 worth of operating expenses and investment income of $6,567, bringing our net position to $900,600. A gain of $5,792 from last year. This slide right here is our budget, what we budgeted versus what we brought in.
Can you just talk about the 656.70 used?
Okay, so within the two banks that PPIC have, DOA and Cash Atlantic, we earn interest on the money that's sitting in the account, and so far for the first 3 months, we've earned $6,000.
So we just had a bad estimate in our revised budget, I guess, huh?
Possibly, but that's not our area.
Whose job is that? Is that our net?
No.
No, yeah, I'm not really sure why it's appearing as a negative in your budget. We'll have to check on that.
Well, revenue looks like a negative versus expenses. So it's kind of an accounting thing. It's not presented incorrectly. It's just that revenue is always a negative and expenses are a positive.
Okay, so the projection, if I'm understanding correctly, the projection was that we would have had
Yes,
$1,000.
so you're over. Yeah,
Okay,
you
so-
got more than you expected.
And that could reflect perhaps increase in interest rates.
Yes, yes.
Something else that has
Uh-huh.
happened. Okay, we can certainly check on that, and
Yeah.
the good news is we're to the positive.
Yeah,
That's a good thing.
it's wonderful. You did a good job.
So this slide is just following up on Sir's question. This is just on the monthly interest rate. So you can see the first month, it goes up, but that's out of our control.
Okay, well, that's helpful to see. This, I think, helps to further explain what may be going on there, but we can try to do a deeper dive into that.
Yes, Any more questions?
Any other questions? Thank you, Ms. Pope.
You're welcome.
Okay, on to our next item. Unfortunately, we do not have a Port of Virginia update at this time, correct?
Chair, that is correct. The Port of Virginia representative had a conflict this morning and is not able to be present for their update. So I'm told that at your next meeting, they'll be back before you and we'll have an update to approve October activities.
Thank you. Let's discuss 06th Street and 16003 7th Street.
Thank you, Chair. This is an update on the property 06th Street, 16003 7th Street that is currently owned by the Portsmouth Redevelopment and Housing Authority and is in the process of being prepared for transfer to the PPIC. I'm pleased to report back to you that at the City Council's October 8th meeting, the street closure application and request was approved by the City Council. So that right of way, which right now kind of cuts off the corner of the property there that you can see on the screen, will be vacated. We're in the process of working with the survey and engineering firm to vacate that right of way. And then we'll also be recording a new subdivision plat to combine the properties, which will leave the PPIC with a 2.5 acre development site, which we will then begin marketing for development.
So is the PPIC paying for that?
Yes, yes. So those expenses would be PPIC expenses and would ultimately be covered as sales proceeds when the property is disposed of. This property is, I believe, a property that was acquired using community development block grant funding years ago. So sales proceeds would need to be returned back to that program upon disposition, but it does allow for the reimbursement of any costs associated with making it. Thank you.
All right. FY25 Port Host Community Grant.
Yes, we are pleased to give you an update on this item, which is the application for 1040 Virginia Avenue. The applicant is the Norfolk Portsmouth Beltline Railroad. We presented this item to the City Council at its September 24th meeting, which followed your meeting in September. And the council authorized the submission of the application to the Commonwealth of Virginia. So that occurred on October 3rd. So kind of a layout recap of the project area here along the MLK freeway. We're currently in the submittal review process with the state. So that application went in on October 3rd. And we are just waiting to hear back from the Department of Housing and Community Development on the status of that grant application. My expectation is we'll probably get word by the end of the calendar year on how we're looking as far as our request. Typically, they'll make an award announcement through the governor's office in the January, February timeframe is the likely schedule there. And then following that, we would get a performance agreement, which would then allow for the work to begin at the site.
Okay. Any questions? Yes, Ms. Pope.
Donahue, we still have a $856,000.
Can you speak up, please?
We still have a $800,000 court host grant from a few fiscal years ago. Is that still something that we need to keep carrying? Does every year you get a new grant?
Great question. The $856,000 that is shown on the books as a grant receivable for the Port Host Community Fund is from the FY22 round.
Yeah.
That was for the property on Shipwright Street. And we do need to continue carrying that on our books. The applicant has requested an extension from the state of Virginia for that. They had some delays in their permitting and they changed their scope of work slightly. So we actually have a formal request for an extension into the state of Virginia. We've gotten kind of a preliminary approval on that, but we're waiting on a new agreement, an amended agreement for that. So their new target completion date is June 2025. So that's kind of just a year end, fiscal year end is kind of what we're, but it's a very good question.
Thank you.
Okay, new business.
Chair,
Can we get a debrief of the Virginia Maritime Association International Trade Meeting that we attended?
That'll be item submitted by commissioners. New business?
Chair, we actually have no new business for discussion. We do have a need for a closed meeting?
Yes. Vice Chair, would you read the closed motion?
Yes. I move to go into a closed meeting pursuant to Virginia Code subsection 2.2-3711 A3, A.3, for the purpose of discussing the disposition of real property where discussion in an open meeting would adversely affect the bargaining position or negotiating strategy of the public body, specifically regarding the disposition of 3920 and 3930 Burton's Point Road.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote, please.
Mr. Barham,
Yes.
Mr. Foster.
Yes.
Ms. McSwain,
Yes.
Mr. Peterman.
Yes.
And Ms. Allen.
Yes.
Here, the item is approved by a vote of 5-0. We are now in a closed meeting.
Thank you.
I hereby move that each commissioner certify that, to the best of his or her knowledge, only public business lawfully exempted from open meeting requirements under the Virginia Freedom of Information Act, and two, only such public matters as were identified in the motion by which the closed meeting was convened were heard, discussed, or considered in the closed meeting just concluded.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Barham,
Yes.
Mr. Foster.
Yes.
Ms. McSwain,
Yes.
Mr. Peterman.
Yes.
And Ms. Allen.
Yes.
Chair, the item is approved by a vote of 5-0. We're now back in an open meeting.
Thank you. Item submitted by commissioners. Mr. Peterman, you had something?
Yeah, on the last meeting in the minutes, we talked about the Virginia Maritime Association's 2024 industrial trades that was held on the 8th to the 10th. I was just wondering if we could get a report back on, was that beneficial or?
It was, and unfortunately, Commissioner Rice is not here, but he was attending as well. And obviously not here to share his impression of the conference, but I can share our experience. In addition to being a sponsor, we had a booth there at the conference in the exhibit hall. So we had over 20 direct engagements with businesses that were attendees at the conference, in addition to various kind of networking occurrences. So it was productive. I believe there were over 630 attendees, which is a fairly large gathering. They do try to limit the size of the event. The banquet, I think they had over 2,000 attendees, if I'm not mistaken. So really very large turnout. But certainly from a business engagement standpoint, many shipping companies were present, both domestic and global, in addition to the maritime industry, including offshore wind. So we were able to engage with those businesses, and it was productive. We've had several follow-up discussions and meetings as a result. So it was certainly worth the time and sponsorship that was promoted. And we're looking forward to next year already. I think they're already in the planning stages, so I'm hoping to support it again. And certainly when Commissioner Rice is here, he may want to share his experiences.
Okay.
Any other item? Excuse me, items submitted by commissioners? Hearing none, report backs. Mr. Donahue.
Yes, thank you, Chair. The first is an announcement. Some of you, I believe, are aware of this, but for those who are not, this is Karen Williams, who is our administrative coordinator two here in our department, will be retiring at the end of the month. So her last date of employment with our office is October 31st, unless she decided she wants to stay on a little bit longer. She has a beautiful new granddaughter that she's going to be helping to care for in her retirement. So we're really excited for her. We're sad to lose her. She's been a great help here in the office, but obviously she's got a bigger role to play now. So we're gonna miss you, but we're excited for what comes there.
You've been a joy to work with. Thank you.
And then we're not going to let that spot sit open very long, because we actually have Karen's replacement here in attendance this morning, which is Ms. Faith Griffin. She's a current city employee, and she's going to be transferring over to our office starting on November 4th, correct?
Okay, well,
Very good.
Thank you.
So we're not going to, try not to miss a beat here.
You look like sisters.
okay.
So I just wanted to make you all aware of that. And then just another item that is actually scheduled for the city council's work session this evening is a presentation by the Hampton Roads Alliance, which is the regional economic development organization. And that will be on the Eastern Virginia Regional Industrial Finance Authority. And this is a organization that the Alliance stood up a few years ago with the support of some of the member localities, which Portsmouth is, but we have not yet joined the EV RIPA. It's a industrial finance authority, as the name would suggest. It's a vehicle for generating financial support for economic development projects in the region. And it allows for localities to support their neighboring localities through funding of infrastructure improvements to support economic development projects. And there are over half a dozen localities that have already joined. There are several that are in the process of joining, and Portsmouth will be discussing the matter this evening. But it does provide a vehicle for neighboring communities to support and invest in projects within the region, which will then provide opportunities for revenue generation back to the locality that's investing in a neighboring region. And we can utilize that here in Portsmouth in the future if we desire to. And it is not limited to industrial projects. It can be used for many different types of development activities, even including development of the city's water. So going to be providing the city council briefing on that this evening. I'll certainly come back to you at your next meeting to give you an update on that.
I'll be watching. All right. Anything else to report back on?
Madam Chair, I have no other report backs noted for today.
Commissioners, anything? All right, our next meeting will be Tuesday, November 26th, 2024 at 9 a.m. Everybody have a great day. This meeting is adjourned.
Thank you very much.